Hi, this is Omar at Top 5 E-Bikes, and today we're going to do a comparison on two really popular fat tire e-bikes, the Aventon Aventure.2 and the Troxus Explorer. If you haven't subscribed to Top 5 E-Bikes, please do so right now if you like this type of content. Also, check out our website, top5ebikes.com, where we have a bunch of e-bike content like reviews and also offers and discounts for various brands. All right, let's get into the comparison of these two really popular 26 by 4 inch fat tire e-bikes with 750 watt motors. So we have the Troxus Explorer over here in the red, and then on the blue corner we have the Aventon Aventure.2, which is the newest version of this Aventon e-bike. They look the same, and they actually have really similar, or if not the same, components. But there's some really big differences in these e-bikes. So first off, let me talk about the similarities. Number one, and you can see it, the frame looks the same, so it's a pretty similar frame. The second one is that they both have 750 watt motors, rear hub. They also have hydraulic brakes, and when it comes to the brakes, it's actually the same Tektro hydraulic brakes, so it's the same exact brake. 26 by 4 inch fat tires, so same size of tires. They also both have rear and front fenders, and they both have a rear rack, so that comes stock. They both have rear integrated lights. They have a front light, integrated front light, which also looks the same. So they for sure look the same, but then some of these components are actually very different. So again, on the surface, they look very similar, but let me get into some of the differences now. So I'm going to start talking about the differences in these two. The first one is the price. So right now, currently the Troxus is $17.99. They did give us a coupon for those of you that want to buy it, 10% off. So you can get it for $16.20 right now. And the Aventon Adventure is $18.99, and there are no coupons for that one right now. So $18.99, $16.20 until the end of May for the Troxus. Difference is the battery. So on the Adventure, the battery is a 48 volt, 15 amp hour, and on the Troxus, it's a 48 volt, 20 amp hour. So you get about a third more watt hours out of the Troxus battery than you do the Aventure.2. And I should mention the original Adventure has the same size battery, so keep that in mind. They are a little bit different, even though the frame looks the same. You can notice that the integrated battery on the Troxus, you actually have to remove it. It's on the bottom part of the down tube. So whereas on the Adventure, it's actually on the side. So I think this one's a little bit easier to actually remove than the Troxus one, but there is a little bit of difference as to how you actually remove and how you remove the battery. The other thing I would say about the battery too is that on the Adventure, you actually have to turn on the battery, which is one of the things I didn't like about this bike, but you have to turn it on to turn on the actual bike. On the Troxus, you don't have to do that. So that's the first big difference in these bikes. The other big difference is that on the Troxus, the motor is actually a Bafang motor. Now, the original version of the Adventure came with the Bafang. This newest version actually comes with the Aventon branded. I didn't really notice any difference. I rode both of them quite a bit. I don't really notice any difference, but you know, if it's worth anything to you, just know that the Troxus one does come with the Bafang motor, while the Adventure does not. Another difference that I've noticed is the suspension, and I mentioned this in the Troxus review, and I've seen some people comment. It is a little bit of a more rigid front suspension than, say, the one that comes on the Adventure. So I think seems like it's a better quality suspension than the one that comes on the Troxus. So another difference in these two bikes is the rear lights. So they're a little bit bigger with the Aventon, so they give you more visibility, and they're also turn signals, which is kind of nice. And that's not the case with the Troxus. You just have regular small lights. I mentioned this as something I didn't like, that they were so small, but that is another one of the differences. One other difference that I noticed is that they did a really good job with the frame on the Troxus. but the Aventon is so much nicer. Like the weld jobs, you could see the weld jobs on the Troxus. You can't really see it here. Maybe we can do some close-ups, but you don't see them on the Aventon. So although the frame looks the same, I don't think it was produced by the same factory, because you can't really see the weld jobs on the Aventon, and you can see them on the Troxus, although they did a good job. I mean, it's a really nice frame. They did a good job, but I think the Aventon is really much nicer. Another big difference are the screens. So it's a pretty basic screen on the Troxus. There's not much information. The Aventon one is this really nice screen that they have on all their bikes now, which is this color screen, and it's integrated with an app. So there's a lot of features to this screen. It's not just information that you see on the screen as you're riding. Another difference, the Troxus has Shimano Acera drivetrain, while the Aventon has the Shimano Alta. So that's a bit of an upgrade on the Troxus versus the Aventon. So those are really some of the smaller ones. Obviously, I mentioned the battery. I left the biggest one for last, and that's that the Troxus has a cadence sensor and the Aventon has a torque sensor. So that's a huge difference. So I think between the torque sensor versus cadence, this bigger battery versus smaller, maybe the Bafang versus a branded motor, I think those type of things should help you figure out if one of these two bikes is best for you. All right, now I've told you the similarities, the differences. Let me close it out for you. Which bike is better for you? It really depends on what type of rider you are and what type of bike you're looking for and the experience that you're looking for. The Troxus, for example, because it comes with a cadence sensor, it's better for someone who either hasn't ridden in a long time or ridden bikes in a long time, is new to e-biking, new to cycling in general. Because a cadence sensor is just easier if you're a novice versus, say, a torque sensor. So if you're a novice rider, someone who hasn't ridden in a long time, or you're just looking for a fat tire e-bike for just leisurely rides, I would say that this is probably a better option. It costs less. It's $1,620 right now. But also because of the cadence sensor, it's just easier for you to ramp up and start using it. And there's not much of a learning curve. Versus, say, the Aventon Adventure, which has a torque sensor, and that's more of the natural cycling feeling. And you're going to have to do a little bit more work on this one, and especially if you're going uphill. So if you were going uphill, I would say that the Troxus might be a better bike. And we're not talking about huge hills, because if you were talking about a big hill, then I would say you need to get a mid-drive rather than, say, a rear hub drive. But between a cadence sensor and a torque sensor, the cadence sensor will do better going uphill. The cadence sensor will do it, but you're going to have to do a lot more work. So again, I think if you're looking for a bike and you want to get more of that cycling feel and you want to get a little bit more exercise, the torque sensor is definitely the way you want to go. And the thing about the Aventon is that they have dealers all over. You can go test ride it. You can try it out. By the way, I should say Troxus is planning to open up or to have dealers around the U.S. I actually met up with them at their tent at the Sea Otter Classic this last weekend, and I got to see a lot of their new models. So they're going to have a bunch of different new models, and they look like really quality e-bikes, a lot like the Troxus Explorer. So again, really depends on what type of bike you're looking for. If a cadence sensor is better suited for your cycling or e-biking needs, then something like the Explorer, or even the Aventon Adventure, the first generation, which is still out there. You can get it from Best Buy for $14.99, or you can get it from Aventon directly for $14.99. Although that bike has the same battery size as this one, so it's a 48 volt, 15 amp hour. So for $100 more with the Troxus, you get 33% more battery watt hours, and it's the same motor because that one has a Bafang too. So you got a few different options if you're looking for this style of bike. You can get the Troxus, you can get the Aventon Adventure, the old one, which is still out, the first generation, the second generation, and of course there's a bunch of others. There are a ton of options in this category. We just received the Juice Bikes Rip Current S. I know this morning actually Ride One Up released their fat tire e-bike, which is around $1,900, the Rift. So there's a lot of options. These are two really good options, I think. And depending on what style of riding that you're doing and you as a rider, one might be better than the other. Although these are really both good options. So let us know what you think. Let us know if you had to decide between these two bikes and which one you decided to buy. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this review, please subscribe to our channel and leave us a comment. Visit us at top5ebikes.com or some of our social media accounts. Thank you.